Welcome back. That's the Nerdy Jock. I'm DK. This is the Dragon Ball Daima podcast on Nerdy Jock Media, doing another double pod for you and covering two of the fans' favorite episodes so far.
Everyone loves these episodes.
Exactly. No one has. There's no controversy whatsoever.
Right?
The story's great. The plot is moving forward.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say.
No. So we're joking here, obviously, right, Dan?
Right, we're joking.
Oh my God. So we're doing episode 13, Surprise, and we're covering episode 14, Taboo. Now, Dan and I were talking pre-pod. There's not really much to talk about Surprise. Literally, the only thing that's not surprising about Surprise is that we weren't surprised that there was no surprises. It was a filler episode. Like, if you put a definition of a filler episode, right, of an anime into the dictionary of anime, I think episode 13 Surprise would be that, right?
It was very unsurprising for an episode entitled Surprise.
What a letdown.
With the exception of, we finally got the original director from episode 1 back.
Right.
So weirdly, even though this episode validates a lot of the complaints that this show is just the second coming of GT.
True.
This was the most GT episode so far, and ironically, also maybe the most beautifully animated episode so far. Like, I mean,
questionable, yeah, but it's up there.
Yeah, there was so much animation on the ones. So just one frame of animation for every frame. That was a terrible description of what animating on the ones is. But there was so much of it with the giant, with its movement and stuff like that. Such beautiful framing. So yeah, there were beautiful backgrounds. You know, all kinds of crazy, beautiful visuals, and absolutely zero plot, which is becoming sort of a repeat theme on this podcast when we talk about Daima.
It's a little too consistent on that basis, man. I mean,
yeah.
Like you said, you summed it up. I mean, it was a beautiful episode. Mainly, it looked like, to me, it felt like I was living on Avatar land, or wherever that world is called in Avatar. Pandora. You know, very neon. They're leaning heavily in the neon, which I kind of like, because Dragon Ball has really never had that kind of a color palette as far as animation and color styles and coloring the panel. You know how it looks. But it was cool to look at, but as far as enjoyability for plot and just even the arc of the episode, I was tuned out. I had to watch it. It took me 2 times to finish the episode. I watched about the first 11 minutes, and then I watched the other 11 minutes.
This is maybe the 4th time that the plot revolves around the ship not working or them not having access to a ship. I mean, it's literally like we went from Vegeta going Super Saiyan 3, which, like it or leave it, is a big moment in the story.
True strength, great one.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the ship doesn't work again. We crash on the mega world where there are these mega things, and there's a mega dog, and Goku gets chased by mega fleas.
Yeah, they're called like Megaths and Gigaths for another planet. There's another planet bigger, but then we didn't even go there. We don't see it.
Right.
But that's really about it. They land on this planet because the ship is broken, like you said. They got to fix it. They got to get the Majin light, which is like their kind of crystals they use to power the ships, which I'm sure Bulma's going to repurpose in our normal world and probably make another $1 trillion and be the richest family ever, like they already are.
Right. But and this is the first time we got to see Super Saiyan Kid Goku use the Nyoibo.
Yes, that was actually kind of cool. He did. They got a little fight sequence because there was a Megath kid who's actually super huge, but still a Megath kid, so his power levels are pretty strong. I mean, Goku and, Chibi, everyone is already basically smaller than ants. I mean, hell, there's like ant/rodents, whatever creatures you want to call them, going after them. Actually, there are rodents. There are like gerbils. Like there's gerbils that attack them as well. I mean, I don't know, guys.
I mean, yeah. For what it was, there were some beautiful sequences where Goku falls into this kid's book bag. Yeah. And it was just beautifully done, but it's also kind of like, it's not what I want. I don't think it's what anybody kind of wanted. It's like the action is not escalating. It felt like, even though they're fighting a giant and they're in peril, it felt like the lowest stakes episode. Yeah. After fighting 2 Tamagamis for 2 Dragon Balls, after being turned into kids, going on this adventure to the demon world, this felt like kind of the least consequential episode.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
There's just weird pacing issues as well. I mean, like you did say, I want to hit back on that. It was pretty cool when it did show Goku falling into his bookcase, naps, whatever sack you want to call that thing, and like my thing is this is like, even though the animation's superb and it's gorgeous, like, couldn't you have made a more interesting plot line that would serve to have better animation? It's like, hey, let's watch him fall in between these two books and see it squeeze on him. Like, cool to look at, but not really.
Yeah.
I sound like a hater, and maybe I am. On this episode, I am kind of hating on it. I really, this might be one of my least favorite episodes of the whole series so far.
Well, something that you said, which I'm going to steal because I don't think it's been said yet, is that it feels like in Daima, and you said this, so you get all the credit. This isn't an original thought. That maybe there were 10 or less episodes of actual plot beat out for a 20 episode series. And maybe the reason why there's so much filler is because Toriyama was having so much fun with world building, where he was like, oh, there's a part of this world where there are people that are big, and it'd be a funny gag if like there was a school child, but he was much bigger than everybody, and they fall into his book bag and stuff like that. And they just took all these random world building notes, and they're like, okay, make a whole episode out of that.
Right.
Make a whole episode out of this. Because we have a 20 episode order. We have to pad this somehow. But yeah, just the amount of constant departures that we take, or vacations from the actual plot, it feels like there is a dearth of actual story in Daima.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like, I think, for my personal opinion, if they wanted to take those, so far we've seen 14 episodes, okay, and at least I would say at least eight of those are probably more filler than plot. Like we can pretty much say that on the pod, like, unanimously, like, there are a lot of fillers, a lot of fighting in airships, a lot of crashing of airships, a lot of hanging out in saloons and taverns and fighting for stolen Dragon Balls here or there, and just randomness. I would say that my estimate was that there was like a 10 episode arc. You were absolutely right. Like, I think that he wrote an outline and said, hey, can we make 20 of this? And he's like, sure. But instead of actually writing more plot, I think they just kind of said, well, let's make this sequence into the frame of the episode.
Exactly. And like we've talked about how this is like Toei and Toriyama were playing a game of D&D almost. It's like Toriyama was really dungeon master of this series. It's like, here's this world, here's all the stuff that I like in this world, and here's stuff that is in this world that people could potentially interact with.
Yeah.
And then those things just became full episodes.
Yeah, I feel like if anyone, and I've got some positives to say too, though. I have been kind of railing on it, but I've got some positives to say. Like, for instance, but this isn't a positive. But I'm saying, like, once the whole series is out, I would like to see someone make a mega cut and just do, like, cut out all the filler and just say, like, show me how long it's going to be of Dragon Ball Daima with plot. And then we just cut out every scene that's not, like, relevant to the plot or moving the story forward, except for, like, the, Vegeta, Bulma, Piccolo going to the Demon World. Like, that's necessary, right? Like, you got to see them transition there. But, like, everything else besides that, I'd really like to see how long a supercut of the whole 20 episodes of Daima is.
Are you saying that you want a Dragon Ball Daima Kai?
I do. You know what? I haven't even seen Dragon Ball Kai, Dragon Ball Z Kai, but I do kind of want a Dragon Ball Daima Kai. I think that's probably the most entertaining way to watch a show. Now, I mean, to be a little more positive. So, you've got a young son, and
that's right.
He loves watching Daima with us. We watch it, and then we'll kind of like analyze it. He doesn't understand what's going on. He can't read yet, but he still enjoys it. And
thankfully, the dubs have started coming out on Crunchyroll.
Perfect.
So now he gets to watch the dubs. He's super excited. He's like, I understand what they're saying, and stuff like that. But even if he couldn't understand Taboo, or not Taboo, Surprise. I've seen this episode more than any of the Daima episodes so far because he loved it. He just wants the giant dog.
So DK said this before pod. He's like, you know what? He's like, as much as we didn't really like it or appreciate it, besides the beauty of the animation and the work there, that it's his son's favorite episodes. May not be his favorite, but like the one he's watched the most,
right?
Because they want to see dogs. So like, we did talk in previous pods, I think like 3 or 4 episodes ago, that it does seem like this is geared for a younger audience, or to try to transition a younger audience into Dragon Ball. Like they're trying to fold them in as well as keeping the hardcore fans, like for episodes like Legend and True Strength, which we all gobbled up, and that was like a feast.
Right. It's the George Lucas defense. It's like this is for kids, but truly, this is aimed at kids, which makes sense because anime doesn't have a lot of ways to make money. And buying toys, buying kids stuff is kind of the way that shonen stuff typically has made money in the past.
Merch.
And unfortunately, kids aren't really into Super because they don't get what's happening.
Yeah.
You have to front load a lot. They have to know what happened in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. I mean, I have a buddy. He's got 2 young kids. I think 9 and 7 are their ages. And they've now seen everything.
Okay.
But it took a while. It took a while for him to, on-ramp them into the world of Dragon Ball, and now they're making their way through Super.
Yeah.
But, most kids, especially in a primetime slot like this, they're not gonna care, So this very much feels like it's for kids.
This is one for the kids,
And it's working. I mean, my son loves this episode.
He's watched it. He's been
he's asked me so many times, can we watch the giant doggy Daima? And I was like, sure.
I bet you if you're looking on, any of the multitude of streaming platforms that's streaming on, you'll probably see maybe Surprise might be in the most watched list because the kids want to see a big dog like freaking Clifford. I don't get it.
Right.
But I'm a 40-year-old man, so maybe this wasn't meant for me in the first place. No, I there's some great episodes. There's some great episodes.
I think we've long conceded there might be some people thinking, why aren't they being as negative as they've been in past episodes? And I think that we've just kind of accepted that Daima's just going to be what Daima's going to be at this point.
We're just kind of, just like the ship, we're just kind of, chunkily floating along. And
it's like, okay, when is Glorio going to be revealed to be the big bad?
Yeah, we realized that already. We talked about that off pod too. Not even like that it pertained to these 2 episodes we're talking about. But I was like, Dan, if they're taking pretty much, all these Star Wars tropes, and Glorio has electric fingers like Palpatine, he's got to be the big bad.
Right.
You can't have electrical energy hands and be a good guy. And that's just it. I mean, I know he talks to Rinsu, but he must be the bad.
Yeah.
So I mean, any more final thoughts on episode 13 Surprise? Or
no, I mean, well, Hybis made a mention of the third eye again.
Yeah.
He made it, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, because it has been a second since I watched it. I believe that it came up and I noted it like, oh, okay, there's the third eye popping back in again. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
we've come to find out, sorry to interrupt, we've come to find out that Hybis's main job is literally just to push plot threads that might have been forgotten or put on the back burner. His job is just to say one line and remind people of, oh, we got to deal with the third eye, or like what was the other episode on Taboo? We'll get there in a second, but he had one line where he mentioned
the zombie forest and all that stuff. I mean,
and then he mentioned to Gloria, he's like, oh, Glorio, you seem really gloomy, but I know you're really a good guy.
Oh yeah, that's coming up in the next episode, Taboo.
We got Taboo. He says that. So his main job is just to remind people that, oh yeah, or to either throw us down a alternate fake route, or to just remind us that, oh yeah, they're going to talk about the third eye, which is finally going to be coming to play in episode 15. But we're not there yet.
But now we're on episode 14 now.
So
Taboo.
That was Surprise. I give it a C-, D+. I mean, it's down there for me.
It would have been down there for me, but I'm so delighted by how much my son likes it. I mean, so I'm like, it's for the kids. Whatever.
That can play a part, but for me, D+. I mean, it was fairly bad. All right.
Right.
On to the newest episode.
On to a slightly better episode.
Slightly better.
Which is Taboo. I mean,
this is kind of a throwback for the ages, right? Because this has some really, really signature shots that remind you of Dragon Ball, Curse of the Blood Rubies film. We've got some the Gendarmarie Force coming into action, which is the
Ginyu Force.
So, and we have some eating of snacks, and we have some light comedy, and we also have we just have a lot of interesting stuff going on. Some actual plot developments with the Namekian, Neva, and the world. So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah. So we just watched this episode just before we started recording. And I didn't hate this episode, even though there was a lot of filler and dumb comedy, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked the Gendarmarie Force. That was a fun bit.
Yeah.
The trip to the convenience store where they run into Do and Ku.
Like the Japanese 7-Eleven, shout out. Yeah.
Right.
It looked great.
Which, if you guys have never been to a convenience store in Japan, they're amazing. Like you could eat a full course meal out of a convenience. You could live out of a convenience store. It's really good food. And really good snacks. So yeah, the Gendarmarie Force, they were super funny. I don't remember all their names, but I remember the guy had the L-sit pose where he's got his legs up. And there was one funny line when what's his face, Degasu, is like, listen, you guys got to defend the palace. We got these guys coming who defeated both Majin Buu and two of the Tamagamis. And they're like, oh, that's a funny joke. Good, because I peed my pants a little bit.
He's like, no, we're not joking. But I still don't think they got the joke,
Yeah, they didn't get it. So we had 50% that, and then we had 50% Neva is the person who set up the shield between Demon Worlds 2, 3, and 1 because there was too much illegal immigration between the worlds.
Yeah. heavy illegal immigration themes in these episodes. I mean, that's what Demon World Daima's all about is breaking down the barriers and letting people have free transport. And I mean, as we see more of Neva, we pretty much know that his character. We know he's just like King or gosh, what's the
Piccolo Daimao? No, King.
No, sorry, not even King. Who's the? Not Yama. Who's the? God, I'm
King
terrible.
Kai?
No, not King Kai. The Earth guy.
Kami.
Yeah, Kami. Sorry, yeah, I call him King Kami. No,
King Kami.
I had a brain fart there, but yeah, it's like he's basically Kami. He's kind of like a third party. He'll serve the bad guys if they need it. He'll serve the good guys. I think this dude has just been there for like 10,000 years and he's bored as hell. And he's just like, you know what? This looks like fun.
Right. Well, maybe he's the big bad. Maybe he made the Tamagamis. He can't unmake them. They're protecting the Dragon Balls. Maybe he wants the Dragon Balls, but that doesn't make any sense because he could have just used the Earth Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
He can turn them from rocks back into Dragon Balls.
Well,
so who knows what anybody wants. We don't know who the big bad is, but we did have a sequence where we see that he controls the shields, which he created, which was a pretty weird time dilation because Goku uses the Nyoibo to test the shield. It goes down almost instantly, electrocutes him, and then he is in free fall. He has achieved terminal velocity, and Neva takes 2 minutes to recite a spell that destroys the shield before Goku hits it and dies.
Yeah, but luckily he kind of wakes up midair. But here's the funny thing is that, like, they said, you touch the shield. Pansy even makes a comment saying, if you touch the shield, you're probably going to die. Or like, it's enough to kill a normal person. Obviously not enough to kill Goku, but he's literally unconscious, electrocuted, falling out of the sky. And Piccolo and Vegeta are just kind of standing there like this, like, yeah. I'm like, no one's thinking to try to save Goku. They could just fly down there, get him, pick his lifeless body that's headed to ultimate destruction on this electric shield. But no, they're just gonna. That's how big the stakes are. Like they're not even faking it. Like it's gonna be an issue.
Goku is falling potentially to his death.
Yeah.
And the two fastest guys on the plane aren't clamoring to get out the door to go save him.
They don't even flinch, and they're actually like great friends at this point, right? They're partners. Like it's like but I mean, I guess there is some unintentional comedy in that. Because they know it's like, Goku's going to be Goku and he'll be fine.
Right.
Like, whatever. He's an idiot. Let him figure this out on his own,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of funny in its own regard, but there's also a bit of like, oh, come on. Like, you would go out there and save him. But, so yeah, Neva does a really cool little spell, whatever. It looks like a mix of Namekian, like, Purunga kind of.
It sounded like that incantation. Yeah, it's definitely in Namekian where every word starts with P.
P or D, whatever, and he did that a couple times. I mean, not super heavy on the plot. This was actually just a good one as far as pushing the mechanics forward. We get some great laughs with the Ginyu squad, the Gendarmarie squad force, whatever you want to call them.
Playing the hits, like you said. Just
playing the hits, and it's like I actually really enjoyed these episodes. Like I really didn't like the last one, Surprise, because to me it didn't advance at all. It was just like, hey, we're taking a break.
Yeah.
At least this one added some new characters that are going to be consequential to plot in the future, and they are getting closer to their ultimate goal of getting this last Dragon Ball or fighting for it with the Rinsu and the Boos.
Right.
So like we do see. that we are kind of turning the corner. I mean, this was episode 14.
14, yeah.
There's only 6 left, and we do know the next one's called Third Eye. But
and the preview was just nothing but battle.
Nothing but battle.
Yeah.
And so we're excited. I mean, they had, the Gendarmaries, they launch and go attack them because they go through the portal. They lose their ship again. And this time it's gone for good. Thank goodness it's gone for good because, well, no, you know what? Never mind. They're probably going to get a new ship. They're just going to steal another ship. But it's good to have them without their ship, without their supplies, and just the Dragon Balls and survival. Because we take some of those comforts away, and it's going to make for some interesting, hopefully, plot choices as well. You know?
I called in an earlier episode. I said, listen, at some point they're going to go to Demon World #1, and it's going to be like Curse of the Blood Rubies, where a bunch of planes are just going to be shooting at them, and they're going to have to be fighting them, without the aid of a plane or something like that. And that looks like what this next episode is going to be.
We'll put that on the board here, but that's an iconic shot from Curse of the Blood Rubies as well, with the ships chasing them. There's a castle in the background, and Goku and gang are running away against that. So I mean, we're gonna get an action-packed episode next one. But this one's pretty good.
It's just connecting dots.
Yeah,
That's all it says.
But
connecting dots, giving chuckles. I will say, if I can comment on the animation a little bit, it seemed like, and I don't have the eye yet, so I'm about to embarrass myself horribly right now, but it seemed like a lot of this episode had Yamamuro designs in it with a big, chunky nose shadow and stuff like that, especially in the beginning. It felt like the character designs were a little wonky in that Dragon Ball Super way, where I was like, oh, did Yamamuro do this part? But then towards the end, all of a sudden they got harder, crisper. There was some really gorgeous pastel sort of coloring that happened. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe, because the beginning, it was kind of nothing. So they gave it to Yamamuro, and then towards the end, now stuff is happening. And next episode so far looks beautiful.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna be great. I have one more comment basically to make. I don't have too much more to say on this episode either. But I do want to make, and this isn't a huge complaint. This is just like a hey, not a big deal. But they introduced the Gendarmarie Force on this episode, which is comedic effect. But there's only 6 episodes left of the whole series.
Right.
I was like, couldn't they have just introduced these guys or? Okay, this complaint is about the sequencing of these episodes.
Okay.
They could have easily introduced the Gendarmarie Force 2 episodes ago, right after the Legend, or True Strength episode where Vegeta goes Super Saiyan 3. They could have introduced them, so kept the plot going, and then went to a surprise episode, surprise with the Megaths and stuff like that. And that way it could at least get a little bit plot forward. They could have cut them differently to where they introduced half the episode is filler and then half episode is pushing it forward. Instead, we have a whole episode like a surprise, where there's 0 plot, and then we have the next one like, oh well, we're low on plot. We got to actually push a lot of plot. So it's just for me, it's a consistency of how they're doing this. I mean, I feel they could have introduced these characters in probably episode 5 or 6. And then they have, and then Boo and Koo are involved too. So maybe they would have had them a little more involved in the next episode or last episode.
I don't know, because I don't know that they're going to be important to the plot, honestly. It felt like they were here to pad this episode to stretch it out.
Right.
It really stretched out the whole shield being taken down and why it was put up, and then they finally get to the world. And it felt like they're like, well, we need something to cut to. Let's have a gag with some funny characters. Go into the convenience store. They load up on too many snacks. They don't have any money for the snacks.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, but think about it this way, DK, because look, in the first 6 episodes, right? It was besides the first episode, the next 6 were pretty much filler. It was introducing Pansy, Glorio, whatever, the Daima, Lightning.
Except for the Tamagami 1 battle,
yeah. You literally could have added any of these things that are just minor details into the earlier plot and made a richer plot thread throughout the whole series instead of saying, oh, our plane's going to crash land, let's go to this inn. We're going to get our Dragon Ball stolen, let's go find it and fight these 2 D-level bad guys.
Well, I agree. There's certainly a lot of tightening of the plot that could be done. I mean, there's so much. I feel like there are 4 episodes that could be completely cut out of Daima, and it would be way better for it.
and then 3 more episodes that maybe 5 minutes is all you need of them, or less.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of inconsistencies there, and the good news is I mean, I think, but hell, I don't even know anymore. I would think that Third Eye would be pretty much this last 5 episodes, from 15 to 20 would be just a freight train running, but we thought that like 5 episodes ago. And we just got surprised on episode 13.
But rewatching episode 1 dubbed with my son, I realized that the Third Eye was the object of Goma all along.
Okay.
That it grants some power to control all the worlds or something like that. So,
interesting.
So if that is...
Third Eye, 3 demon worlds. What?
Third Eye blind, semi-charmed life.
Yeah, I know. But,
yeah, so I think that we are being teased with the fact that the stakes are about to jump way, way up. Not just because there's a battle, but because this MacGuffin, the thing that Goma was originally after, is now going to be the central focus of the next episode's plot.
And one of my favorite things, as we saw in the trailer for Third Eye, we get a Dabura, a little flashback with Dabura.
Right.
Dabura, Demon King Dabura. How do you pronounce his name? Dabura?
Dabura,
yeah.
Dabura.
Yeah, we get Dabura. So are they going to do some awesome retconning like they've done before? Or just show us some stuff they haven't? I'm a huge fan of those. DK, not as much as I am, right?
Oh, the retconning?
I don't care. I like expand the world, show me some cool stuff. I always wanted to see more of Dabura when
I'm happy to see more of him too. The stuff that I don't like is the dumb stuff where it's like, well, actually Bibbidi never created Boo.
Yeah.
It was this person. And it's like, you don't need to do that. You just say, oh, this person can also create Boo.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
whatever.
Anyways, I think that's enough of these.
I feel like we pretty much covered it all, and we went 27 minutes. That's longer than we expected to go on this pod.
And whether you liked these or hated these, let us know. Let us know. We've been getting a lot of great feedback lately from people, especially with the Super Saiyan 3 transformation. Right. People who have different opinions and all of that. We really appreciate that. I mean, we like the differing perspectives. So if you want to let us know how you feel, leave a comment, smash the like button, hit subscribe.
Follow us on the social media platforms. We'll post them up here in the background for you. Just
except for TikTok, because TikTok is going bye-bye.
But
yeah,
we'll be there for a few more weeks until it's gone, and then
it's gone Sunday.
I'm not really too worried. I don't really care. I'm not too concerned. But if it happens, it happens. If it gets bought, which I doubt it will, I don't know why they don't just start an American company that's similar to this, but.
Our Instagram Reels just takes over.
Exactly. But this isn't a TikTok podcast.
This isn't. This is a Dragon Ball Daima pod, and we will be back to talk about episode 15, Third Eye.
Hopefully we don't have to wait 2 episodes. I mean, I think Third Eye is going to have enough to where we can talk about the whole thing for 27 minutes or how much we can get some good juice out of. But surprise, I was like, dude,
we're getting tight on space, so they got to start paying stuff off.
They got to pay some stuff off here. But we're excited for the next episode, and hopefully you guys will tune in and see us next time too on the Dragon Ball Daima podcast on Nerdy Jock Media Presents.
Yeah. Awesome.
Off but great. Awesome.
There we go.
All right.